Good day, everyone, and welcome to BVI Market Connect. I am Natasha Chalwell, Deputy Director of Tourism, and I'm delighted to have you join us for today's session. This platform is designed to strengthen our connections and provide you with opportunities within our source markets, and we're thrilled to have you here. Today, we are joined by Julie, Josie, Alexis, and Lauren, representing our advertising and public relation efforts for the North American market. And they will be sharing key insights and opportunities for engagement within the North American market. At the end of the presentation, there'll be an opportunity to ask questions via the chat, and we encourage you to do so. Additionally, they will be providing their contact details, so you can connect directly with them after this session. As a reminder, this webinar series takes place every Tuesday at 12 noon up until May, so be sure to join us each week as we continue to explore valuable opportunities together. So let's get started. Ladies, over to you.
Thanks, Natasha. I appreciate the opportunity. I hope everyone can hear me and see my screen. I'm going to kick things off, but I'm Julie 𝗂𝗧, and I lead our international marketing and communications team here at MMGY. Joining me today is Josie, who will talk about some of the marketing opportunities. Then we have Alexis, who is part of the PR team and is going to talk about PR opportunities, and also Lauren, who will share some insights on the current trends around public relations in our market. So as MMGY, we do a lot of research around travellers from North America. And I know that there is a lot of talk about uncertainty and changes in governments and things like that. But I think the really good news and the headline here is that Americans are still planning to travel in 2025. Yes, we have got some economic headwinds ahead of us, but really one of the things that we know Americans want to spend their money on is travel. So 76% of the market plan to travel in 2025. That's 35% are looking to spend more trips than they did in 2024, and only 8% are planning to travel less. Now, we've done this research fairly recently, so we are constantly updating our research to find out what the Americans are looking to do. And as we said, the good news is they are continuing to travel. The other part of that is that Americans expect to travel internationally. So that's really good news for the British Virgin Islands, where 1 in 3 want to take an international trip. The Canadian market is also a very interesting one at the moment, given all of the talk from the US government, and Canadians are prioritising both their domestic travel, but also long-haul travel, with the exception of the US. They are looking to very much decline the amount of travel they're doing to the US. So we think this is a really good opportunity for BVI and something that we're hoping to capitalise on with our marketing. But I will say it also means that every other destination that isn't the US is looking to capitalise on that as well. So there's a lot of fierce competition for those Canadian travellers at the moment. So recently, MMGY fielded a custom research study for BVI, really to understand what were the visitor perceptions of the destination and really how that could shape our marketing and communications and PR messages going forward. The good news is that we had a very good response, and we surveyed 1,800 active leisure travellers. We looked at sort of 4 main groups of those travellers. We looked at past cruise travellers, we looked at past non-cruise travellers, so typically those that are doing either a sailing vacation, a yachting vacation, or a land vacation. We looked at future cruise travellers and then future non-cruise travellers. So again, those that are looking at either land-based vacations or yachting and sailing. And really the intent, as I mentioned, was to get an idea and an understanding of what those consumers are looking to do. The full research has been shared with the BVI Tourism Board, but we just wanted to share some highlights today just to maybe get you thinking about the types of things that these visitors are looking to do, but also how are they finding the information. So you'll see here on the chart that we're sharing is that the dark blue lines are the future cruise interested travellers, and the red lines are the future non-cruise interested travellers. Sorry, I went to one too far. So basically you can see here recommendations from friends and family are top of the list in how they're learning about BVI, which is great news. We know that the BVI traveller from North America is very, very loyal. They have great experiences in the destination, but we think it does go to the fact that the stakeholders in destination really have to deliver on the promise of a great BVI experience. So word of mouth is also one of those top places they're getting their information. We're seeing travel documentaries and TV shows, really a high level of interest from the cruise travellers, online reviews and ratings. So again, we know that's really important for, you know, hoteliers and activities online to make sure that you're monitoring your online reviews and making sure that you're that information is staying current and that consumers can really see what benefit you bring to them. Travel magazines and articles are up there, travel deals and promotions, social media, previous visits, travel blogs, and as you can see, we go down the list. Knowing that all of these things play an important role in what the consumer is looking for and deciding where they're going to learn about their BVI information. In terms of the activities that they're looking to do, no surprise there that beach is high on the list of priorities. The natural landscape is big for BVI travellers. Also the local cuisine and dining experiences. So we know that, you know, we have a lot of stakeholders on island that provide these amazing experiences. It is a high priority to those looking to travel to the BVI. Continuing to see cultural and historic attractions be important, and then shopping at local markets. So again, we'll share this deck out afterwards so that you can just process this and have this information on hand. But really, you know, the types of experiences that BVI offers is what our North American consumer is looking for when they travel to the destination. And then in terms of planning sources, so we know how they're learning about the destination, but where are they actually finding the information? You can see here that the destination website for both groups really tops the list, but you'll also notice, and we think something very relevant to the audience today, is that your websites, your apps, and those sorts of things are very, very important, especially for those non-cruise travellers. So no surprise there that an accommodation website is really important. And that just speaks to the fact that, you know, obviously your information on your website needs to be updated. It needs to be very visually appealing, and it is a source of information for these future travellers. They're also looking at these guest rating websites that I mentioned before. Very important to keep those up to date and make sure that the information there is current. If you do happen to get a bad review, that you are responding and providing some context around that. So then in terms of the visitor perception, we also asked what are the things that they associate with the British Virgin Island. And again, this word cloud on the left here just indicates some of those top line words that people associate with BVI. No real surprise there, but things like fun, luxury, relaxing, beach, scenic, food. So again, all of those experiences. And then the top 5 descriptors that this audience or our audience used to describe BVI was really focused on the natural beauty, relaxing and peaceful environment, friendly and welcoming atmosphere, water sports and activities, and rich cultural heritage. So as we, as the tourist boards marketing and PR agencies, think about the types of things that we're going to project in the advertising, we focus on all of these things in a big way. We try and portray these things because we know that's what the visitor is looking for in an experience to BVI. We'd also encourage all of you, as you think about your marketing messages, the social media that you're putting out there, is to really lean into some of these types of things that the consumer is associating with the destination. The next part of our research that we did is we actually looked at who is the main market for travel to BVI. And our strategic team kind of came up with these 3 key groups: the forward-thinking families, the trend chasers, and mature moments makers. So as we're thinking about our marketing, as we're thinking about places that we want to be, we really come back to these audiences and say, these are our best prospects for BVI. How do we reach them through the marketing that we are doing? So to talk about the forward-thinking families, this is really just a summary of the type of audience we're looking at. For this group, family comes first, no surprise there. They're really passionate about raising their family. And the good news is that they see that vacation experience as part of their family experience. It's really important. It's quality time with their family. And having a destination like BVI that kind of speaks to the type of experiences they want is really a positive for our marketing efforts and something that we focus on. They try and keep a positive outlook despite some of the challenges. And I think with that, this is where they prioritize travel over other things. They know that this actually brings a real positive perspective to their life. And it's why they will continue to travel even if we see some changes in the economic situation or the geopolitical environment. And they are tech savvy early adopters. So these are your audience that are going to find you on places like social media. They are going to find you on, they're going to look at your website and they're going to determine, if they're going to buy your product by what they see online. And no surprise really that they're, the highest percentage of this group is married, and then a few other pieces of information about the demographic that we have there. The next one is the trend chasers. So this is really the audience that is, we see them in the professional landscape. They really have a very work hard, play hard mentality. They see their work as a way to financial security. And with this, they are, though, willing to take a vacation to relax and unwind. They find that finding work-life balance isn't always the easiest, and vacation plays a big part of this. They are easily influenced by trends. So they're looking at, what's going on in social media. They're really engaged in what's going on in society. And they are looking to use travel as a way to, impress those around them. So they're the type that are going to be promoting their trips on social media. They're going to be talking about them and sharing with their friends that they went on this amazing trip to the BVI. And they're driven by a search for happiness. So again, as we talk to this audience, we really talk about ways that British Virgin Islands will fulfill this search for happiness. It's all the experiences that they can have when they're on island. It's the fact that they can relax and unwind. They have a fairly high net worth, and they are also willing to spend a fairly high percentage on travel. While most of them are married, they don't have kids in the household. So they tend to have kids that are outside into either the college or adult years, or they have no kids. They have not yet had kids. It's a fairly broad range of age group. And the final group that we are looking at is the mature moments makers. So I would think this audience is the one that many of you can relate to. It's certainly that very traditional audience that has been to potentially the BVI before. They're that older age group. They're about collecting experiences these days. So they are that very audience that we've heard a lot about, where they're not looking to add to their car collection. They're not looking to buy a bigger house. They actually want to spend money on their travel experiences. They care a lot about their looks and their health. And I think we have an opportunity to lean into messaging around what a good experience BVI can be in that space. They can have a wellness experience. They can be outdoors and doing all those great things that will improve their health and their quality of life. And they also have a real connection to family, and that family traditions are sacred. While they don't have kids in the household because they have left, they are looking in potentially to do things like multi-generation family experiences. So again, these are kind of our three key audiences that we're pursuing. There's not a lot of overlap in each of these areas. So we really think we're speaking to both different generations, different audiences within the US. And this is kind of how we decide where we're going to be from a media outlet perspective. It's how we decide, who are we going to pursue and what are the outlets that we will use to pursue those. For the mature moments makers, social media is not as big a priority as it is for the two other groups. So we really think about it in the context of these key target markets for BVI. So I'll hand over to Josie now to talk a little bit more about the outlets that we're looking for our marketing programs this year.
Sorry, Julie and I are in the same room, so we're having to juggle our microphones. But like Julie mentioned, it was really important to us when we were identifying vendors to work with this year to keep in mind the new terminal personas and the research findings, just to make sure that the vendors we're working with align with our new audiences. The vendors that we're working with this year range from vendors that we've worked with in the past that show proven results, like Afar and Sojourn, who we've worked with in the past, as well as new vendors that we are working on new and exciting campaigns with, like Hopper, Atlas, Prime, and Expedia Group. And our 2025 campaign is a mix of digital media, print, custom content, all with the same aim of driving traffic to BVI's website and driving potential bookings. And if you look here, here's the creative that our team at MMGY has developed that is running across these vendors. And then one partnership that we wanted to call out specifically, as we know it was of interest this year, is Expedia. So Expedia acts as a global advertising platform that connects advertisers with millions of travelers globally across Expedia Group's brands. So partnering with them gives us the opportunity to reach a really large audience of frequent travelers who are actively booking their next vacations. Our campaign that we're running this year includes a combination of both display and native ads on mobile and desktop, and these are running across their brands VRBO, hotels.com, and of course Expedia.com. And if you look to the right, this is a screenshot of the Spotlight article that is that we created with Expedia. So all of these ads link back to this page, which is really cool because it allows people to click on the ad and learn all this information about BVI without actually having to leave the website, which is great. And this campaign just launched in March, but we're expecting it to perform very well and are excited to see the results. And then another partnership that we wanted to call out is our summer tactical campaign with Travel Desk. So this is a campaign that we have run for the past 3 years with Travel Desk. It is aimed at U.S. leisure travelers, and and the purpose of it is to promote BVI's industry partners. So this is promoting deals or packages that are available for purchase directly on the websites. So the campaign is set to launch in April and will run through the end of the summer. And we're actually accepting submissions for this right now. So the deadline to submit is this coming Friday, April 4th. But if you're interested in submitting, we'd love to include you and more partners in this campaign. So Feliza actually sent out an email with the submission form. So just revert back to that email and you should be able to submit your assets there. And then the last item that we wanted to highlight from our 2025 campaign is the paid media campaign, the paid search campaign. This is a tool that we've been utilizing since 2019 to drive traffic to BVI's website. Last year in 2024, the paid search campaign accounted for almost 50% of all site sessions and garnered 20 million impressions and almost 30,000 clicks from January to December. So it's an element of our campaign that has proven to give great results, which is why we continue to utilize it. Oh, and then I'll pass it off to, I think, Alexis.
I'll jump in quickly. Thanks, Josie. Hi. So on the PR side, we work in tandem with our counterparts here. So all of the personas that they have just talked about are our targets as well on the editorial earn side. But the work that we do is as good as the information received. So we love to continuously source information for our pitches and press releases to keep the news fresh about BVI out in the marketplace with consumer publications as well as the travel trades. We work on all sides. We would love to be added to distribution lists for any newsletters any partners might send out, press releases, or other communications, and to know it either before something happens or right as it's happening so that we're not behind the news. We would love to get in front of the news. We continuously diversify our storytelling. Some of our pillars are the culinary story. I know Alexis will talk a little bit about, we just had a celebrity chef down in destination. We work with the villa products, of course, all the hotels and resorts. Family travel, as Julie said, is really big, and sailing and yachting has been one of our big focuses, especially in the post-hurricane, post-COVID era. We love partnering for as much as we can get from partners on press and influencer trips. Budgets go further when we're able to collaborate. And the same goes for our events. We have a few things coming up for the year, which Alexis will talk about in just a second. And here's just two examples on this page where we're super proud and happy that we got BVI in the 52 places to go in 2025 list. And then this is actually the second time we were placed here in the last 5 years, the first of which ran in January 2020. So we all know what happened right after that. But now with the really full opening of the destination, the news is out. We're getting all of this wonderful feature coverage. So Alexis, you want to talk about what we're doing specifically?
Absolutely. Thank you. So as Lauren mentioned, one major tactic that partners can get involved in from a PR perspective is hosted press trips. We truly believe that seeing is believing, and allowing journalists to have firsthand experiences in the destination can create incredibly thoughtful and comprehensive coverage. So we just hosted a top tier North American media group last week. Some of the outlets where they write for can be seen on the screen here. There's also a couple of photos of the group. This was a huge success, and it was made possible by working hand in hand with partners such as Peter Island, Oil Nut Bay, Byers Creek, and we typically aim for 2 group press trips per year. And this is also complemented by various individual press trips throughout the year, which can cater to some more specific editorial needs. But overall, we do expect to hold some more throughout the year, and support from partners can come in many different ways, whether that's full accommodation support, select meals, activities. We consider these very collaborative efforts, so definitely a great chance to get involved in some of our media opportunities. And in the next slide, we'll just show you some past coverage that resulted from press trips. We typically aim for at least 3 different islands that we visit for group press trips specifically, just to showcase the diversity of the BVI and wide range of activities that can be experienced. And that is truly shown throughout all of these stories here. They give a really in-depth look at all of the different opportunities that one can have when experiencing the BVI. Next up, want to also talk about influencer relations a bit. Just like media, we work with influencers, tastemakers, and as Lauren alluded to, sometimes even celebrity chefs. Chef J.J. Johnson came to Virgin Gorda last week for Food Fest Taste of Virgin Gorda, and we also have an influencer called Bucket List Publications coming this month. She has 1.4 million followers and focuses mainly on family-friendly content, but this is a terrific opportunity because oftentimes deliverables can include rights-owned content for partners to use for your own marketing efforts. They have very engaged audiences, and it can include a myriad of different deliverables that we negotiate with them from the beginning of conversation. So just like press trips, ways to be involved from a partner standpoint can include accommodations, meals, activities, and we'd love to work with you from influencer perspectives as well. And although some come with fees, we are also very savvy and work with influencers sometimes on a barter basis too. So getting certain deliverables and in-feed posts for trade, meaning all we have to do is cover their trip costs. All right, wanted to also touch a bit on why it's so important to receive your news. One prong of this is media meetings. So here in North America, we make sure to send our director of tourism to key media events. Seatrade in Miami is happening next week, so Clive will be attending on the BVI's behalf. Shortly after that is Caribbean Week in New York. And following that would be Virtuoso Week in Las Vegas. So these are opportunities for us to set up media meetings and ensure that journalists who we're establishing relationships with will receive all of your news as partners. Another way that we do this is arrange thought leadership interviews with Clive and other spokespeople from the British Virgin Islands. You'll see an example here in Travel Age West. And throughout this interview, Clive touched on a lot of the partner news and exciting updates across the territory. So as much as we receive from you on what's new and why journalists should be telling their audiences to visit now, the better, and helps us for in-depth coverage. Another example we wanted to touch on is IMM. So the International Media Marketplace happens every January in New York, and this is really the premier opportunity for journalists to meet with destination partners. We attended in January and met with over 26 journalists in one day. This has already resulted in press trip opportunities, 2 of the meetings with freelancers 𝗳𝗲𝗏𝗄𝗏 and Heather Greenwood Davis. They came to destination last month. So in addition to meeting with journalists and finding fits for their editorial needs, it's just a terrific way to establish a relationship and just become front of mind. They will continuously come back to us and think about BVI for their stories after having these in-person meetings. Some of the outlets you'll see on screen here were examples of other media who we met with at this IMM conference. That included US and Canadian outlets, some travel specific, some consumer, some trade. So really was a fully fleshed out event offering us the opportunity to tell various different partner stories. All right, we also keep an editorial calendar of proactive pitches. We send these to media, and of course, these plans can change as news comes up, as trends emerge, but it is important to kind of have a roadmap of what we plan to send journalists, because especially from a seasonal perspective, we do find that year after year, journalists will be looking for the same types of stories. This is really a great opportunity for partners to keep us in the loop with their offerings. That way we can make sure to weave it into our pitches that we have planned for the year. Some examples here include National Lobster Day, where to find the best lobster in the BVI tied to that holiday. Also, how to plan the perfect crude catamaran trip this summer. We plan out a mix of pitches and create media lists that are highly targeted. That way, media who are most interested in sailing receive our pitches that focus on events like spring regatta or the top trips to planning your crude catamaran vacation. And some of the outlets here are our top targets. We also keep a most wanted media list, making sure that we go after outlets that have the audiences that most align with who we're trying to reach. And yeah, like Lauren and everyone mentioned, we really encourage all partners to stay in touch with us, work with us on trips, send us your news, and you can reach both Julie and Josie's team as well as my team on these email aliases here. And thank you.
So I was just saying, if anyone has any questions, we're happy to take questions, but I'm going to stop presenting now for a minute.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you so much. Yes, at this point in time, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to write them down in the Q&A section or the chat section for our lovely panel this morning.
Looks like we have a shy group.
Gone. Oh. Well, if there's no further.
I will just maybe while we're waiting to see if there's any questions, I will just do another plug for our summer travel desk campaign. So if any other partners want to still participate, we have a few, but we can certainly take a few more. Please just reach out to 𝗕𝗏 and have her resend you that email with the Google sheet to sign up or the Google form to sign up. As Josie said, applications do close by Friday just so that we can get that campaign up and running and going live. So each of you have your own, BVI creative. It can be your own message. So it is a really great campaign to get your own product and name out there. So reach out to 𝗕𝗏 or us if you have any questions, and we'd love to get you signed up for that.
Good afternoon. There is a question. It's from Leo Forte, Bonita. Thank you. Great presentation. Do you have any data on the guest split between arriving by air/boat? And are there any trends in one or the other increasing?
I would actually probably revert to Natasha and team on that one, as it's the BVI team that collect the data on visitor arrivals and things like that. So maybe they have some of that information.
Okay, so currently we don't, this information is not broken down, unfortunately. However, steps are underway to have it, have the statistic broken down by the type of traveler. We just have broadly just overnight visit, the categories of overnight, cruise, and day trippers. So this is something that we are keen and we have communicated to the ministry, and I think that they're working on getting that done, which with the collaboration of other departments to get the information breakdown in those categories you mentioned, and as well as others. And then there is another question here from Shireen Flax-Charles. Hello, Shireen, how are you doing? What is untapped for the smaller properties throughout the territory in terms of press and fan trips?
Hi, Shireen. I can jump in here. We are always open to working with properties, whether big or small. So would encourage you to reach out to us. Let us know which property is open to fam trips, and let us know if you have any, blackout dates. I know we tried to work with a few smaller ones in the past month, but high season just didn't allow for it because of availability reasons. So would love to touch base on your property and keep you in mind for what's in the pipeline. We also have a pitch coming up called Affordable Luxury, and it kind of leans into those smaller properties, more boutique ones that could be on the smart luxury budget side of travel. So happy to include you in that pitch too, if you can send over details on your property.
I do see, Keith, there's a question from Bernadette. Have you seen a move away from print exposure to more online media, and how important do you place social media exposure, in particular, how effective are blogs? we have moved a bit away from the print coverage. There is still some really amazing print outlets, and that's where the PR team really comes in. The challenge that we have is they are very expensive. They, to run print advertising, it is quite expensive. So in the last couple of years, we've focused more on the online. One, we can obviously really measure the success of it, and we can really track, where we're sending leads and that type of thing. So we have moved away a little bit. Not that it isn't good quality, but it does tend to come at a higher price tag. And sometimes we've done alliances with outlets like an 𝗕𝗏 or Travel and Leisure, where we've done both, and we've had campaigns with them, but it does really depend on the budget. The social media, absolutely. I mean, we're seeing increased importance in that, and certainly it's not slowing down, and we don't expect it to anytime soon. We think blogs are effective. I think it's just a question of finding the right ones. So as I think Alexis mentioned, like when we're looking at, say, a family travel influencer, if they have a good blog that really meets our target audience, then that's something that we will pursue. So, and I think that's sometimes the biggest challenge. You may get a lot of direct requests, and how do you make sure that it's a good outlet? We're certainly happy to help you with that front. If you get approached by someone and you just want us to take a look and help you vet the opportunity, we're happy to do that. Even if you have a direct relationship, we don't necessarily need to get involved in any way other than to maybe just give you some insight through the tools that we have and some of our experience with the market to say, yes, we actually think this blog is of value, and what they're asking you for is worth what you will get in return. So I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, and from the PR side, just to complement what Julie just said, we keep our pulse on the ever-changing media landscape. As everyone probably knows, there's been a lot of condensation in media houses the last few years. So it's like a revolving door, and our heads spin a little bit. But we put out every month a news to use kind of piece that we share with BVI and our clients to talk about who's open, who's closed, and where we should, sometimes we need to alter our focuses. Like, for example, this morning we just heard, y'all might know the website, The Points Guy. They just laid off their entire cruise division except for Jean Sloan. So there's a lot of these setbacks where editors that we've had these long-term relationships with are becoming freelancers, and then you never know where they end up. So while we always love to get a mix of print and online, print these days has had its challenges, which isn't a surprise, but whatever we do get in print, will then publish online, and then that's where that helps the SEO and the awareness as it lives in website eternity.
I see a question.
Okay, there's another question here. This is from the team at, I think it's MHV. They're the operators of 𝗂𝗏𝗿𝗏 Beach Hotel. Great presentation. So they're asking if they should reach out to Felisa or the team to potentially collaborate on press trips. So I would answer that in saying that, yes, we have shared a document called a promotional activities calendar. It has the contacts for the press office or agencies worldwide, or business development teams worldwide as well. Certainly you can reach out to Felisa or myself. Felisa is the travel with the media, so you can do that. If you have identified someone in the media that you would like to host and you want some type of collaboration, we're also open to that, budget pending. So that's another approach you can use as well. And then we have in the chat, one second, we have sorry, find
Yeah.
it was from.
Oh, questions about how savvy calls. How do you measure the effectiveness?
Okay, yes, the question was from Sally and Riley from the BVI Yachting, Hotel and Tourism Association. Hi, Sally. How do you measure the effectiveness of your marketing efforts?
Good question, Sally Ann. So we track all of the impressions that we're purchasing, what are coming through. We track all of the traffic that goes to the website. We look at all of the Google Analytics to say, how long are they spending on the website? What pages are they looking at? Those types of things. And then ultimately look at the visitation figures. So, making sure that, things are tracking up. With the things like the tactical campaign, we can track the number of visitors that go to your website. Now, depending on, your ability to track, you can also track, did you get reservations and bookings from them? For campaigns like an Expedia, they actually do give us extensive reporting. They don't maybe give us property level reporting, but they will give us what sort of bookings they got over the same period. And we look at periods where we are in campaign with them versus when we aren't. So, when we work with partners like Hopper and Expedia, they can give us some fairly extensive end reporting about what sort of bookings they got. And that's typically why we do a combination. We know that we have to be building awareness and building intent through some of these broader sites like the Prime TV, some of the sailing outlets that we use. We know that's building sort of broader awareness, and we track that to the level of detail we can. And then that's why we also do things like the Hoppers and the Expedias of the world, so that we can actually get some booking reporting from them, and that level of detail.
And on the PR side, I would add that we're also tracking impressions on the stories we're placing, and it's a little more challenging to see if exact bookings have been converted due to an article we have placed. But on that note, last year we placed an article that Bitter End Yacht Club was included in, and their marketing team told us they had a spike in calls mentioning the article the next week. And so that communication was so valuable for us to see how important it is to also focus on PR. So we would encourage, communication. If you are getting feedback that people are booking your hotels because of an article they saw, please do tell us. Other than that, though, for measurement, we focus a lot on quality over quantity, making sure to pay attention which stories feature only us, which ones include quotes from our spokespeople, which ones include images. These are things we all pay attention to in terms of measurement.
Thank you, Alexis. I have another question here. It asks, if we have content creators, I should say, if we have content creators who we host, this is the property, I guess, is saying that their content is used across the BVI. Would you help them with flights or rides to different islands and properties? They will happily partner with other properties as well. The bartering is done. Just would love some help.
Yeah, I mean, budget pending, we are so open to receiving these opportunities. We would love to review and work with you hand in hand on certain influencers and content creators that you might already have a deal with. So I would encourage you to reach out to us with their details, and we can vet accordingly too and see how we can support.
Okay, there's a question here. Is the British Virgin Islands page managed by a team or a single person? And who do we reach out to? This is our social media or digital social media pages. It's managed by a team here at the headquarters in Tortola. So the persons I can share there's James Kelly and Andrea France, and you can contact the main office and we can connect you with them.
They're not moving. Oh, they're frozen. We didn't moving. They're just quiet.
Okay, that's James's address. Andrea's address. Oh, so okay. The next question is, who do we reach out to collaborate the bartered content trips?
That can be the PR team.
I think you just, yeah.
Oh, the PR team.
Yeah. BVI at 𝗵𝗠𝗠𝗲.com is that alias again.
Yeah,
Thank
sorry,
you,
I'm
Julie
trying to-
Cuesta.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a question here. I've been trying to update my listings on the BVI tourism site for 3 years. Okay, so we are redoubling our efforts to do that. The email address which I share, actually it's I'll share the email address for that to get that information done. I think it's listing at bvitourism.com. That's the appropriate email address. And okay, so yes, send the email. I would say send the email to that address as well as the other two which was shared previously. And let's move forward from there. Oh, James is phone as well. Right. You want to share the email address for to contact regarding any initiatives or any questions or any collaborations. They have listed their email address as bvi@mmgy.com. Anything else?
Just ask if there's any further questions.
Are there any further questions? Okay, one question says, would you say companies with newsletters receive more bookings?
I would probably a hard question to answer. I think it's a question of, how big is your database? Do you have a database, and what sort of response are you getting from that? I would say looking at, what are your open rates? If your open rates are probably in the 20% range, then, people are opening it and reading it, knowing that, a consumer might not open it every single month, that type of thing. So I certainly think it's one mechanism. Hard to say probably in any one individual case, but I think you just have to look at what are your strategies to engage with your past passengers. We do know from previous research and what we saw, the past passenger loyalty for BVI is fantastic. It's always been really, really good. So if you do have a database of either past passengers or travel advisors or tour operators, working with them to keep them updated, and a newsletter is a great way. I think you just want to be careful not to oversaturate in terms of making sure you're looking at your unsubscribe rates and those sorts of things. So certainly a good mechanism. Probably can't say specifically will it give you more bookings, but certainly a good way to engage if you're doing it in a mindful and a well planned out way.
Okay, are there any more questions?
Maybe close it off.
Oh, wait.
All right, we have a question from Nadia at Walnut Bay. What state or city has given the highest engagement?
I would have to go back and look at the specific information. The states we know where we get really high engagement are New York, or the Northeast. I wouldn't just say New York, but New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, up into Massachusetts, we do very well from. Florida, we've always done very well. And obviously with the direct flights out of Miami, that has been a big boost. Texas, surprisingly, has always done very well, and California. Those are probably the key states. But we, with the things that we're able to do now with the targeting digital, we don't necessarily do specific geographic targeting other than to say when we optimize campaigns, if one region is performing better than the other, then that region would get more advertising. But those typically are the states that we know are producing well for BVI.
All right, thank you very much. I want to thank all our partners for taking the time to sign in today. And of course, I want to thank this wonderful cast of ladies from MMGY representing the PR and marketing. You've done a wonderful job, and you have opened the door for our partners to reach out and connect. So again, we want to thank all partners, and we want to remind you that we do have a meeting next week, same time, same place, different team. This next week will be the team from our business development team from in the United States in North American business development team. It's going to be done in 2 parts. So one will be on the 8th, and part 2 will be on the 15th. So it's important because they're covering different regions. It's important for you to tune in and listen to what these ladies or team has to say regarding our activities in those markets and the opportunities that are available to you as our partners. So I wish you all a great rest of the week, a great rest of the day. God bless.